President Trump makes another milestone, 1 year in his second term as president. In just moments here on The Factor, we take a look at the past year, and that's coming up. Plus, dead bodies used in the cosmetic industry to enhance some people's looks. Ahead, the details on the procedure.
The Isiah Factor Uncensored starts now.
Welcome and thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored tonight. He stepped into the White House briefing room today, waving 365 wins in 365 days.
These are all, each line is something that we did. Nobody did that before. And it's big stuff, too. Look, we have the hottest country in the world.
We're hot. We're hot. He says some of the biggest successes to come from his administration include border security, dropping crime rates, job growth, federal cuts, and the deployment of the D.C. National Guard. Joining us to talk about it, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, politician Carmen Montiel, and political analyst Dr. Dietrich von Biedenfeld. So all successes, Dr. von Biedenfeld, what are your thoughts with the president and his first year in office?
I think this is the year of unprecedented action. I would agree with the president that a lot of these things have not been done before. Of course, we might say, in looking to history, for example, deployment of the National Guard. Maybe we did that when we had the bonus of soldiers marching on Washington in the early 1900s. But a lot of these challenges aren't easily discernible as wins, particularly tariffs, where we say we brought in billions of dollars, but not the billions that were promised. We haven't built the manufacturing infrastructure or
and all of that's in question with the Supreme Court when it comes to tariffs.
Absolutely.
All of that could be just wiped away.
And Chief Justice Roberts, as an institutionalist, is trying to hold off that decision as long as possible because he doesn't know what the president's going to do if he rules against him. So I think there are a lot of these areas where it's very muddled. We do have inflation down and moderate. We've got it at a rate that the president wants it at. I think we've got sort of mixed job figures, but we have increased our presence on the national stage, or on the global stage. So our national presence as America First is inarguably present even in discussions of Greenland or the capturing of Maduro.
All right, Carmen, your thoughts about the president's first year in office? In his second term.
Well, I think he has done an incredible job counting what he inherited. You know, prices are down. You know, he could not, perform magic, but the eggs price are down, gas are down, and we're going to see in the future how the price of gasoline down is going to affect the price across the border. You know, tariff brought just last year $200 billion of income to the United States. Closing the border helped, reducing crime, reducing fentanyl, and America is again the strongest nation in the world. That we lost that position.
Now, your focus has been domestic issues. Is that most important to you and many of his supporters out there?
Well, the capture of Nicolás Maduro just set a precedent that United States will not support anymore criminal communist regimes. And also in our hemisphere, you remember we're in the same continent. The situation in Venezuela was a threat to United States, not only because of the drug trafficking, but we have our enemies right there. We have China, we have Russia, Iran, and a distance of only 2,000 miles from Houston to Maracaibo, 1,200 miles from the southern point in Florida to Caracas. So that was a terrible threat for us.
Representative Reynolds.
Hey, Isiah, I don't know where Carmen's shopping at, but every time I go to the grocery store, I see escalating prices. The price of eggs have not really gone down. The only people that have benefited from Trump's first year in office in the second term is Trump, his family, and his billionaire friends. The middle class, the poor are poor, unemployment is high. It's a record unemployment for black women. We've seen so many disasters. This is a terrible, colossal first year in office. All the promises that he made, he's going to lower goods and services. We've not seen that. Inflation is kind of steady, but it didn't go down as he promised. Everything he ran on, he's not delivered. Again, the only people I know that are happy are billionaires and millionaires. The poor are getting poorer. People's
Okay, let me remove your glasses.
People are really suffering right now. He's had attacks on minorities, immigrants, women, We've seen
He has reduced tax. You know, for a small business, he has reduced tax for families. I don't know where you're getting your information.
I'm sorry, he
from.
said a tax.
a tax.
Oh, a tax.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's not been a tax when he's helping the people.
No.
You
We've seen attacks on Muslims. We've seen attacks on immigrants. Look at these ICE raids. We've seen attacks on diversity,
Well,
equity, and inclusion.
the Muslims in
Attacks on
Minnesota
Social Security,
are
Medicare.
stealing America.
Healthcare is going up.
Whoa, that's a problem that we inherit from Obama,
No,
and that
that's
needs
not.
to be fixed.
Obama
That's
gave us the Affordable
Obamacare.
Care Act.
It was never affordable. It was the Unaffordable Care Act.
No, it's
the name should
unaffordable
be
now
changed.
without
No,
the
it was from the
federal
beginning
subsidies.
unaffordable. But what happened is I need to remove your glasses and give you a different pair so you can start seeing the reality as it is.
The only
Representative Reynolds, did you see or have you seen any benefits from the president? We've been on the international stage. He's tried to talk the Russians and talk to the Russians and the Ukrainians to keep a war from there. Gaza, some peace there. Now we see Iran. Venezuela, any benefits that you see for the American public?
Marginal benefits is finally a pause in the Gaza, the Palestinian conflict, right? That's it. He promised that he was going to stop these wars with Russia. He's not done that. Putin has been punking him all along. He's not done what he said he was going to do. He seems to be fascinated by dictators. He's an authoritarian bully, and he wants to be one himself.
Why is he arresting them?
We're a laughing stock
arresting
around the
dictators.
country. He's talking about Greenland and invading Greenland. That's not the kind of president. That's not helping America first.
He's going to put it at the front in AI for the future. Otherwise, we're going to allow China to take over in that war. That is the future of the world.
The things that he promised that he was going to deliver with China,
Yes,
he hasn't
doing it,
done
but
it
he
yet.
cannot do it overnight. You cannot do 4 years of disaster in 12 months.
We
All right,
had a
And
we're
strong
going to
it is
take a quick
happening.
break here. We'll continue with this conversation after the break. Don't go anywhere. And And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. It's been 1 year into his second term, and President Trump is taking a victory lap tonight, touting his record from the White House. This as protesters took the streets of D.C., calling his policies harmful and demanding change. Let's continue our conversation with our guest. Dr. Von Biedenfeld, your thoughts, any concerns about what our two guests had to say here? Any questions as to veracity or the truth that you may want to point out?
I'm going to have to agree with Representative Reynolds that there have been increased prices, but we are on path, because I also have to agree with Carmen that you can't do things overnight, especially when you think about the executive power. The challenge for President Trump is he wants to have his cake and eat it too, and claim the strong executive branch, and has a compliant Congress. I mean, they're pretty much absentee. The Supreme Court is very compliant as well, and if you agree with his policies, then the president has a very compliant Article 1 and Article 3 branch supporting him. But if that is the case, then there should be more done. Some of the challenges that you're going to have are raising questions. Have we had the level of attacks on our cybersecurity system that we had under President Biden? No. The argument, though, is going to be when Pete Hegseth is using Signal and other unsecured chats and can't describe what classified means. Well, of course that you don't have to hack it. You just look in the phone book or look at the picture from a journalist and say, well, Chinese don't have to hack into anything anymore because he's so incapable of using secure channels. At the end of the day, I think there are a lot of things where our national prestige, again, on the global stage has been increased, where people are taking us more seriously. Some of the things are unnecessary. I'm going to argue against Greenland in the sense that we already have existing agreements that allow us to store as many military pieces of equipment, have as many troops on Greenland as possible without the side economic responsibility of caring for their citizens. So what is the economic benefit other than prospectively billionaire friends of the president who could otherwise get favored investment status? That's a very real concern. But otherwise, we are seeing a more secure border. We are seeing a lot more respect for the rule of law, and some of these long-standing expenses of the federal government are being removed. Many of these federal positions that have been removed, there was a lot of personal and emotional feeling of shame on the president for forcing these layoffs. These are single moms, these are 30-year-old college students, and we have that feeling, we care about them, and then we still see the stoplights working without these individuals. So maybe there was a lot of fluff or unnecessary spending.
Carmen, any concern about the president consolidating his power, not involving Congress, not allowing the checks and balances of the American system to work, where he's pushed on and decided what he wanted to do without getting Congress, your duly representative there in Washington, to get involved?
The problem is Congress has not codified in this whole year his agenda into law. So that's why he have to be pretty much a single man working, because the reality is Congress should get to work, codify his agenda into law, so that way we don't have to be dealing with just executive orders. And that's when I say just watch out when you go to vote, and you're going to vote for somebody that is active, that is going to do their job, and is going to represent you the right way.
All right, Representative Reynolds, your thoughts about the president's power, unlimited power, it appears.
I think, unfortunately, the Supreme Court messed up when they gave him pretty much carte blanche for official acts, almost king status. And then his Republican counterparts in the House and the Senate are afraid to stand up to him. They've cowered to him. So they pretty much rubber stamp everything he does. They do not seize the checks and balances that the Constitution afforded them. So they're pretty much allowing him to get away and do everything he needs to do. He is acting as though he's a king. He's disregarding the Congress and just stepping them to get his agenda done. Carmen, he has a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. The Supreme Court is in his pocket. And they are basically doing everything that he wants them to do. There are opinion polls that show that the Republicans are in the tank when it comes to delivering for the American people. Farmers are suffering.
Right,
poor people or middle class people are suffering.
So much to do that is going to get done.
Thank you guys. Still ahead tonight, rapper Nicki Minaj's latest beef, this time with a journalist. Details and reaction to the drama after the break. Plus, there's your plus, Sonora. And see, there's no plus.
I just feel like I let people down, and not happy.
Don't go anywhere. We got our plus. We'll continue this discussion after the break. Plus again? Okay, well, that's all the pluses we got. All right.
This program is being brought to you by Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. A heated feud is unfolding between rapper Nicki Minaj and former CNN anchor Don Lemon. Tensions came to a head after Minaj went after Lemon on social media using a homophobic slur and calling for him to be jailed over his recent coverage of a Minnesota protest at a church. Lemon, who is openly gay, fired back in a TikTok video accusing Minaj of making unhinged attacks and calling her remarks bigoted and telling her to get a life. He also pointed to past controversies surrounding Minaj's family and her political stance. Joining us to talk about it, journalists Rashonda Tate, Jim Hicks, and Dr. Ruth Allen Olison. Glad to have you all on The Factor Uncensored. So when you take a look at this feud that's going on, Rashonda, do you see one or the other simply going too far here? What are your thoughts?
So I think Nicki forgot that she no longer is dealing with CNN, Don Lemon.
Right.
As an independent journalist, he's his own boss. And so now, in the past, they really wouldn't respond. And so now he's speaking back. And that's a position a lot of journalists like Don and Joy are in. And they're not taking some of the backlash that they get. I don't know what Nicki is doing. I don't know. I don't know if she's trying to get some pardons. I don't know if she's trying to get some citizenship. She's over the top.
All right, Dr. Ruth, your thoughts about this. And is there a difference from what the viewer would know as journalism and activism in journalism as well?
Well, I watched the interview that Don Lemon did with the pastor. I watched the video of that whole situation, and I found it appalling as a pastor that a group of people would come into a church and do that. And I didn't think that he showed any great respect for that house of worship, and that interview with the pastor while the pastor was trying to deal with his people. I don't think that was good, and I don't think that would be good for anyone. And honestly, that would be a time when I might lose a little of my religion if that was to happen.
Get the hell out of my church!
Well, so I do have a concern about the way that happened. I think too many things in the country have gone too far, and this group, this organization, I think went too far in doing that. So I have a problem with that. Nicki Minaj, I mean, that's not my genre. I'm not one of her peeps. I don't even know. I know her deal about the UN and trying to get more followers and all that stuff. But I'm into believers, and so I think there's enough to go around for both of them doing some wrong things.
All right, Jim Hicks, your thoughts about this?
Well, in David Easterwood, that's the name of the pastor of the church, and it's alleged that he's in administration with one of the field offices of ICE in that area. And it's alleged that he's actually an ICE agent. And so that was some of the feud that propelled that group to go up in there. They let Don Lemon know, because they wanted some more. He had a big following, which he has his independent show on his YouTube channel. So he went in there and he turned into media once he got in. And that kind of propelled a response from Nicki Minaj, who called him an extreme name. And this is how it unraveled. And then Nicki comes back and says, I did that on purpose to get a reaction from everyone on this topic. Well, Nicki, she's went after several people, and I guess she's tired and realized you can't go at Cardi B no more, so you're gonna come at Don Lemon. And Don Lemon, I guess he was good at his defense, but then he got to name calling as well. And I think that's when two wrongs definitely didn't make a right.
And Rashonda, are we seeing journalists pushed in a corner in this political climate?
Yeah, I think once you started losing objectivity, journalists, anything goes. And what's happening is they're speaking their mind. They're no longer the objective journalists that we all kind of grew up to be, and they're fighting back. I do think
Is
it
that,
goes.
do you think what people want to see, or they don't want to see and they don't respect?
I think they say they don't want to see it, and then they tune in, and then they share, and they comment, and they get out. And that's why Nicki did what she did. That's why Don responds, and it continues. And for me, again, it comes from the top. So we see what's coming from the top. There is no decorum anymore, and the people are just buying into that and rolling with it.
Okay, really quick, you got a book coming out.
I
Tell us
do.
quick.
With Love from Harlem comes out on Tuesday, January 27th.
All right, Rashonda Tate, look for that book. Right. Still ahead tonight, new video of all hell breaking loose in a laundromat. As we used to say, a washermat. A man storms in with a machete and threatens a teenager. That's next. Keep it here on The Factor Uncensored. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Two chilling criminal cases to tell you about tonight involving parents. We begin with this one with Wellington Dickens in North Carolina, who is accused of killing his 4 children last year. According to new court documents, he hosted people he matched with on a dating app at his home. This is while the bodies of his dead children were stuffed in the trunk of his car, according to the prosecutors. Now, Dickens confessed to the murders in a phone call with a 911 dispatcher, saying, quote, "It's all my fault." Also developing, very disturbing, a couple in Florida facing criminal charges for alleged child and elder abuse at their roach-infested home. Nicholas Cummings and Tashay Brown were arrested after authorities arrived and saw their home was filthy. They found an 81-year-old man and a 1-year-old child inside. The child reportedly had cockroaches crawling all over his body. Brown reportedly told police she would try to keep the roach roaches away by flipping the portable playpen upside down and spraying a circle of Raid around it to keep the roaches out. Police also noted that when they went to help the 81-year-old, roaches came out of the mattress he was on as well as the clothes he was wearing. Both face felony charges. Tragic. Now to new video developing tonight. A machete-wielding man storms a California laundromat, threatening a teenage boy and shattering glass. And it may have all been over what the boy was wearing at the time. Fox's Gina Silva spoke to the boy's father.
I think that he was on drugs, highly erratic, very aggressive.
Armed with a machete, this man storms into Super Wash and Dry on Fairplex Drive in Pomona on Saturday morning, yelling at the owner's 16-year-old son.
He was just saying a lot of, I think it was like F the West Side or something like that.
The armed intruder appears enraged, targeting the teenager because he's wearing a red 49ers jersey.
Well, he did point out to my son when he kind of turned the corner here, and he told him to get that red shirt off.
Customers begin to run as they realize there's a lunatic with a machete inside the laundromat, making threats and swinging the weapon.
I had a couple customers on that side locking the building, and then I don't have a deadbolt on this side of the building, so I had to hold those doors shut. And so he came up to the door and continued on with the same rhetoric from before about the red, since I had a red hat on at the time, and decided to take a swing at the window.
The glass shatters, and he continues ranting, then makes what appears to be gang signs before finally walking away.
It was very crazy. It's very scary, but then again, people are like cracked out, doing Lord knows what on the street.
By Tuesday afternoon, Pomona police are back at Super Wash and Dry, downloading security video to help identify the suspect.
To me, that was nothing but drugs.
Still ahead tonight, when mortality meets the beauty industry. We'll share how human cadavers are being used in some plastic surgery procedures. Keep it here on The Factor.
You're watching the Isiah Factor Uncensored.
Welcome and thank you for joining us here on the second half hour of The Factor Uncensored. A plastic surgery procedure that will leave you wondering what in the world has vanity come to. Some people are getting breast implants and Brazilian butt lifts from the fat taken from dead people. It's through an injectable filler called Aloclay. Manufactured by Tiger Aesthetics, it's made from donated fat tissue from human cadavers, and that's processed specifically for cosmetic use. Aloclay hit the market in 2025 and isn't widely available just yet. It's also FDA approved. That's important. Joining us to talk about it tonight, influencer Rich Lux and Crystal Roney Smith, owner of Lush RX Med. So, Crystal, first of all, your thoughts about this. If it's FDA approved, it has to be good, right?
Okay, so let's talk about the gray area of FDA approval. Yes, it is FDA approved to do donor, giving, such as organ donors and blood giving and things like that. But we're talking about the fat off a body. Mm-hmm. There is not enough evidence to decide what kind of long-term effects are going to happen with these dead cells.
So when we talk about that FDA approval, that's approval to do exactly what?
Transfer.
In the context.
Right. The transfer process is FDA approved. Like when it comes to organs such as liver, kidneys, and things like, ribs and things like that are like for actual emergencies, yes, of course it's FDA approved. But we're talking about, we're taking dead fat that is basically gone through so many steps to make sure that the body doesn't react. It's called deceleration, where they take all the structure out of these cells and just makes a matrix and you put it into a body. There is no long-term evidence that supports what this actually is going to do to you.
But there have been no reports of any adverse effects as of yet.
As of yet.
Okay.
Right.
Rich, your thoughts about this? Would you ever use it?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I'm made of plastic and it's fantastic.
Wait, what?
I love it. And people get work done all the time. They get fat grafts with pig skin. We're talking about getting facials with placentas. So getting NADs and exosomes. To me, this is nothing new. Maybe I feel like a little bit of a zombie or a Frankenstein with different body parts of a person, but I think this is moving the needle to make us look more younger.
Yeah.
What are you, like 20 now?
Oh,
what
no.
Are you on?
I'm
you
like,
want to be an infant?
I'm way older than that, but you would never know.
And piggybacking on what he said, they actually call it a zombie BBL. And the crazy thing is, like, if we could have just taken our grandmother's fat from the bacon fat, the jar of the bacon fat, and we just put it in the freezer, why don't we just use that instead? It's a lot cheaper.
But could you?
No. No. But I think it's a serious ethical issue that we're dealing with here, because there are some cases, like, where women or men don't have a lot of fat. Mm-hmm. And so someone that doesn't have a lot of fat, someone who's done chemo or cancer survivor or things like that, breast tissue, no breast tissue and things like that, then yeah, but we're talking about this procedure is $10,000 to $30,000 at best. Mm-hmm. And the issue goes into, like, I know I'm donating a lot of, as I pass on, things that I don't need, but like just knowing that my fat could be used for someone's vanity purpose, I think that needs to be a disclaimer maybe.
And don't forget, beauty is $1 billion industry. It's a lot of very lucrative in that world. So I think that this is just moving the needle and the step that we might be going this direction.
And is there anything, Rich, that would turn you off when it comes to enhancement?
No, I've had everything done. I think I'm okay with it. If I needed to have a fat transfer,
what would surprise people that the extent that you went to get augmentation?
Work done. Like I used to be like almost 400 pounds, and lost the weight, got the skin cut off. So we got the 360, removed the skin, sewed me together, the top and the bottom. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty extensive. So there's scar line there. And when you have scars, sometimes you can replace a scar tissue with pig tissue or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's a common practice. If it doesn't heal, they'll take another tissue from an animal to get it to, merged together.
And go ahead, really quick.
And there's other safer options that you can do. Like at LushRx, we do the BBLs, non-surgical BBLs with Sculpture, Radius. These are biostimulators that work with your body to produce your own natural collagen for a natural lift. So this is not parts from another person's body that has to go through extensive, process in order to be put into you that your body can reject and shut down with.
And always do your research before you get anything done, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor. Still ahead, a do-it-yourself project you should definitely not be doing. Some people are skipping the doctor's appointment and performing their own procedures at home. We'll go over the risk next when it comes to order by mail Botox. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Nothing wrong with being self-sufficient, but there are some things people just need help with and not just do themselves. According to my next guest, that is getting Botox injections. Some are ordering their products from online, mainly from Asia, and injecting the Botox on their own. Why should you care? Our next guest says this kind of DIY project can be very dangerous. Also, Dr. Sear, we are now hearing individuals who are doing Botox themselves, injecting it themselves, buying it from Asia, bringing it to America. How dangerous is that?
Well, it's extremely dangerous. Botox is actually botulinum toxin. It's a bacteria that can cause flaccid paralysis. And so if it's not a dead bacteria, if it's live in any way, when you inject it, you can die. If it's not carefully processed and there's bacterial growth in that injectable, when you inject it into your body, you can get a dangerous infection. even in America, when we mix our Botox, it comes in a powder. We inject bacteriostatic saline, which basically is salt water that has antibacterial properties to inhibit bacterial overgrowth, because we worry about injecting things into people's faces, for example, that can cause infection. So we use bacteriostatic saline, and we have to dispose of that Botox or Dysport or Xeomin, depending on what company you like. You have to dispose of that in a very short time frame, because otherwise the risk of bacterial overgrowth happens. So what's happening in that transport from China or some foreign country to America, that's a long time. You don't know what's happening. You don't know how it was processed. This is your body. This is your health. You get what you pay for. There's really no quick answer to getting the right care. You have to be really cautious, because people are getting hurt and people are dying from poor care.
And when we think about the Botox shot and the dangers that it could cause, tell us some of the problems that you could get as a result of not properly using it or injecting it, and you don't have the expertise.
Well, there are a lot of people that, I mean, in Texas, you could be a nurse and inject it, you know. With supervision, there are some people that are doing it who aren't even nurses. With the doctor's supervision, the doctor's in the clinic somewhere. That I would always be cautious. I would run fast away from that place if you go somewhere like that. There are mid-level providers.
Really quick though, when you walk in, you should say, what should you say? Is there a nurse here? Is there a doctor here? What?
Who's doing the injection? What are their credentials? And before you ever step in that clinic, you should know that.
Mm-hmm.
You should ask for that on the phone when you're making an appointment. You know, there are a lot of people that are really good at promoting themselves. They have amazing videos on social media. They look really appealing. They do cool videos. But you don't know if they're skilled. You know, they're showing you the best of what they have. They're not showing you everything. You don't know if they have good results or bad results on the whole, right? You see a small snippet from a video that looks cool, and some of them are great cameramen and camerawomen, and their technical skills are poor, and they don't have the ability or the training to fix the complication. One of the things that I think is really important in medicine is when you have a procedure, the person who's doing the procedure should also have the skill and the ability to treat any complication related to that procedure. And a lot of people can do the procedure, but they can't get you out of trouble when you're in it. And that's something you need to be really cautious of. So looking into the credentials of that provider, you know, what's their background? What's their certification? You know, are they doctors? Are they nurse practitioners? Are they PAs? How many of these have they done? You know, find out what other people say about them. I mean, do a deep dive. This is your health again. When you inject any kind of neurotoxin into the muscle, it paralyzes the muscle. So if they don't understand the anatomy, they can paralyze and create asymmetry in your face. It can look like you had a stroke if you do it in the wrong place. You know, you have to be really careful of that. Fillers can cause blindness. Fillers can cause all kinds of problems. It can occlude the blood vessels to the nose, to the lips. That tissue can die. Bad things can happen. In addition to just looking abnormal, you don't want to look abnormal, but it can be much worse than having a problem with the way you look. So be really careful about who you go to.
And of course, that's our cosmetic surgery section of the Factor. But back to Alaclay that we talked about earlier. We have a statement from Tiger Aesthetics, the company behind the injectable filler created from the fat from dead bodies. Our genuine gratitude goes out to all donors and donor families that decide to allow Tiger to be steward of the gift of donation to change others' lives. We're committed to optimizing the usage of the gift donated human tissue that is entrusted to us by maximizing how tissues are being used across many different indications and applications. Still ahead, the road to the Super Bowl may have ended for the Houston Texans, but we're still giving the team their flowers. Plus, some fans are more than ticked off about one player's struggles during the last game, and you know who we're talking about. We talk about it next. Don't go anywhere. All right, you know the deal. Texans fans are still recovering from the team's loss to the New England Patriots, and some are playing the blame game about who's responsible. They could not have brought back that win. Why? That's the question. Quarterback C.J. Stroud has been getting a lot of the criticism. Some fans are livid about his performance. We posted a poll on the Factor Instagram page asking, what did you think? And 61% said the criticism for Stroud is valid, and 39% said he doesn't deserve it. Joining us to talk about it, sports fan Zach Estrada, sports journalist Sierra Nicole and Jim Hicks, and Houston Texans fan Vance Lawrence. All right, Zach, straight to DVD, superstar.
Let's get it.
What do you think about CJ's performance, and are fans going too far?
Well, I'm just gonna start off with this. I think what's going over people's heads is the Texans have never been to an AFC Championship game in franchise history. And as far as for Texans fans, they were like, okay, we get to the AFC Championship, we're gonna face off against the Denver Broncos backup quarterback because Bo Nix is out. So if anything, this was going to be the year that the Texans either get to the Super Bowl or win a Super Bowl. So with that frustration of the loss to the New England Patriots, it's just Texans fans are torn apart. So now they're going at C.J. Stroud because of the game that he had against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the interceptions that he's thrown. He was playing at the snow at New England. So with the New England, with him throwing 4 interceptions before halftime, it's unacceptable. Now, we're living in a world of 2026, and there's gambling involved too. So there's a lot of people that are losing money at that. So that could be a lot of people talking about Stroud with that. But at the end of the day, that's just my opinion. I think DeMeco Ryans should have took Stroud out. He threw 4 picks before halftime. It's unacceptable, and it shouldn't have happened. So
all right, Superfan Vance.
So my biggest issue is, yes, I do believe C.J. Stroud deserves all the criticism he got, but my issue is the body language during the game was really terrible from the first quarter. I didn't understand why we didn't see any shots of C.J. Stroud talking to a coach on the sideline. Normally you see him like with a tablet, people are talking to him, like giving him some advice. He was there by himself, like looking depressed. I think that somehow the culture needs to change within the Texans to where that never happens again in any games. From now on, like if you see somebody that's looking down, talk to them in real time instead of waiting until halftime.
Come over here and get some damn help.
Yeah.
Let us guide you. Yeah. All right, let's bring our journalist in. Sierra, your thoughts?
I'm with Zach. I'm with Vance. You know, as a coach, I've been putting. I'm gonna just say this: if I'm playing bad, my coach is gonna sit my ass on the bench. You're not doing your job. You know, you can only if they make me stay in. What else can I do besides play? And if I'm playing bad, I'm gonna just keep playing bad. So I mean, if you the coach, just get me out of here. Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Take me away, Jim.
Well, C.J. Stroud, I mean, 3 years ago as a rookie, he went on social media. He declared himself one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. We didn't. He did. He said it was behind the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback and, of course, the Baltimore Ravens quarterback, and it was him. And so you built that yourself into this, and it was okay then. Now you've regressed. He knows it. His moxie is diminished. He don't have the same mojo. I really believe he stopped engaging on social media. He only has 2 posts on X in the last 6 months. So I think that he needs to just this is a moment. I know he's probably at a low point, but in Texans and DeMeco Ryans, as you said, he believes in him. And there's nothing wrong with that point. We've had this 3 straight postseasons with this young man. I get it, but right now, the glass is definitely half empty.
All right, Zach, has he lost himself?
I don't believe he's lost himself. I just believe that's too good of a defense to be. That's unacceptable performance. So what he did was, when you're throwing 4 interceptions and you have the #1 defense in the NFL, it's just unacceptable. All you have to do is just make some short route throws, maybe some 10-yard passes. He was just trying to do too much, in my opinion. And maybe like what Sierra was saying, maybe the coaching just wasn't as right what DeMeco Ryans was doing. So
Vance, is his future in jeopardy now? C.J. Stroud.
Definitely in jeopardy, because I feel like before that game, people are already talking about him getting an extension. Now the question is if he should even get the option for the 5th year. I think he's going to get the option for the 5th year.
Yeah.
But I think what the Texans desperately have to do is look at what worked for the defense, which is you got this defensive-minded head coach, and you have a really good defensive core when it comes to the coaching. So when it comes to the offense, You can't get these rookie offensive coordinators coming in to teach a rookie. You need like someone experienced. Maybe like a former head coach who also happens to be really good at offense as well too. That's what he probably needs.
And Sierra, when you look at the organization, this is for you and Jim, we have about 40 seconds left for both of you. What should the team do now? What's their next step?
They need to figure out how, like he said, how to fix that coaching staff. When they're on the sideline, nobody's talking, nobody's encouraging him, nobody's sitting him down to let him, hey, maybe take a break, maybe, just figure it out real quick. I just think that needed to happen.
Well, in May is when the Texans is probably going to extend him and pick up the option. That's for about $26.5 million that he'll get in going into year 5. And then they'll have one more year, which will be next season. That's his audition to figure it out. And everybody relax, but guess what? The Texans have a number, over and under, and you got the expectations for CJ. And guess what? If you don't meet it, then the writing will be on the wall.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. Time will tell. Still ahead, are you ready for the cold that's on the way to Houston and the rest of Texas? Meteorologist John Dawson says it's going to be a very cold weekend in our city. When we come back, tips on how you need to prepare. Stay with us here on The Factor Uncensored. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. We know the cold weather is on the way, and we want to get you prepared. And, of course, we brought in my favorite meteorologist, John Dawson, to tell us some of the things we need prepared as this storm or this system approaches our area. So what's number one on your list, JD?
Well, it's the basic 5 things haven't changed, Isaiah. It doesn't really matter what kind of emergency situation we're talking about. The basic 5 things are still there. You're going to need some food. You're going to need some water. You're going to need to plan for the power to go out. So that means a flashlight and a way to charge your cell phone. And finally, you need that first aid kit. So this is the situation. You don't have to have weeks of food at a time, but you're going to have about a 48-hour period, 2 days, that you're not going to want to go anywhere. So have enough food and water to not have to run out to go somewhere.
And of course, please don't go out and buy all the toilet paper. Leave some of that for the rest of the community.
Yeah, you do need to think about, have everything covered for sure. The one thing that's a little unusual is certainly you're going to need to be able to stay warm. And again, we're talking about a 48-hour period probably, assuming that you might lose electricity. So if your electricity goes out, do you have a safe way to create some heat, or either just bundle up, or maybe if you need to go somewhere earlier and you know, do your sort of sheltering in a different place than your normal home, that's also something to think about.
All right, JD. And of course, I wanted to get this done now in time for people to shop for those emergency supplies, even if you have to order it on Amazon. Right now, they're stocked up. They're ready to go. I'm sure Walmart and many of the other big box stores are prepared